Welcome to Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm Candy Washington, and today we are going to get into it. I have broken down 5 of the most problematic things about Tom Sandoval's weird, bizarre, random, horrific, off-key situation that he did on Howie Mandel's show. Howie Mandel, listen, I personally think that the interview was a wreck. I think it did way more harm than good to Tom Sandoval. But when it comes to Howie Mandel, I think even though I agree with Andy Cohen, he was not prepared. He didn't do his homework. He's on the wrong side of history. I think that it's still going to be more beneficial to Howie Mandel because now we're actually talking about Howie Mandel. I don't know the last time we have. So with that, let's dive in. But before we do, you know what to do. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and share. Shout out to all my candy canes who are already in the house, in the building. Drop down your candy canes, drop your questions, drop your comments, and let's get into the mess. Okay, first up, just a couple of observations. And let me know if you agree with me on this. First up, Howie and his daughter were fangirling over Tom Sandoval. Like, I was really confused. I was like, is this Howie Mandel, who has had, like him or not, he's had a very long career in Hollywood. He does, I guess he hosts, I don't really know Howie Mandel like that, but I guess he's like an actor and now he hosts a bunch of shows, a comedian, this, that, and the third. And I was like, why is Howie Mandel fangirling over Tom Sandoval? It was weird. It was awkward. His daughter was there. The vibe between him and his daughter was also weird. He kept interrupting her, talking over her, said, no, this is a fight between me and her when she was trying to interject. That was really weird and awkward. So a couple of things in housekeeping that was already really weird. Okay, very weird. Also, before we dive into what I saw as the 5 biggest problems with what Tom said, I don't know if I'm being too sensitive in this world because everything is just out of control. But did anybody catch Howie Mandel's I don't know if he is Jewish or if he's not Jewish. I don't know. But I didn't like that little oh, Schwartz isn't Jewish. Like, how do you have a name like Schwartz and you're not Jewish? It seemed a little, I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. I don't know. It was weird. It was giving Giselle vibes. We'll get into Giselle in a whole other video with, again, what she said, something very problematic on her boring podcast. But now that all of that is out the way, let's dive in. The biggest problem, number 1, of what I had with Tom Sandoval said was that he was trying to blame everything on having this, quote, midlife crisis, right? That he was going through all of this dark time and he was having this horrible time and he was going through this midlife crisis and he had never experienced anything like this before. And, Ariana, she was also going through depression and anxiety and, she wasn't having sex with him, blah, 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 blah. And they lost the spark. And then came Raquel, like an angel down from the heavens, ready to have sex with him and drop it and busted wide open for him. And he just was falling in love with this super cool girl, Raquel. And he just couldn't control himself because he was going through this midlife crisis and Ariana was just so not sexual. Boy, bye, shut the hell up. The reason why I say that, because at first I was kind of actually buying the BS about the midlife crisis. At first, I kind of was. I was like, well, you know what? He did just turn 40. A lot of people, when they turn a particular age, they lose their damn minds and they blow up their lives. But then I said, actually, this doesn't track. Because this is not the first time Tom has done this exact same thing. It would be one thing if this behavior from Tom was out of character. He talked about his, quote, integrity. You don't have any integrity, Tom. If this was out of character, if this was a one-time thing, if this was he turned 40 and he lost his mind, we don't know what's happening. But Tom Sandoval has systematically been doing this for a couple of decades at this point. We forget he's 40, but he's 40. He's been doing this for a couple of decades. So were you going through a midlife crisis when you did the same exact thing to Kristen Doute? Granted, nobody is perfect. None of us, right? But remember when he was trying to gaslight a nation and Kristen Doute wrote a whole book about it? He's making you crazy. Kristen Doute's so crazy. We just become glorified roommates and, we don't have sex anymore and she's cheating on me and I'm cheating on her, blah, 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 blah. And I'm so unhappy. And then he goes and cheats on her. And then he cheats on her with Ariana. And then all of a sudden, Ariana is just like this amazing angel who's such a cool girl and how she handled everything so cool. And Ariana was even like, oh, Kristen Doute has like borderline personality disorder. Maybe she's bipolar. Remember all that? And at that time, Ariana was like this angel. And he was lying about the fact that he had cheated on Kristen with Ariana. And then the moment he has the opportunity to actually be with Ariana, he cheats on her with Miami Girl. Was that a midlife crisis when you were like, what? I don't know how old he was then. Late 20s? Was that a midlife crisis? And you also did the same exact pattern of going against other women, particularly strong women, in defense of the new girl you have, who's all up your butt. Because remember when Ariana first came on the scene? What did he do? Oh, Stassi, you're being such a bully. You're being such a bully against Ariana. She's a struggling actress. Oh, Lala, you're so mean to everybody. Blah, 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 blah. And didn't he do that same exact thing with Raquel this season? Oh, Lala and Katie and Kristen Kelly, you're being such bullies. You keep bullying Raquel. She's so codependent. She's, going through this breakup with James. Meanwhile, the whole time he's busting it open with Raquel. Yet we're supposed to feel bad for Raquel that Lala and James had a quickie when they were wasted before Raquel and James even made it official. But yet this whole time you've been busting it open with her and we're supposed to think that she's the victim in this. So that's when I was like, you know what? This whole midlife crisis is a bunch of bull because this isn't new behavior from Tom. And I got to agree with Jax Taylor on this. He's like, this is who Tom is, And the reason why I think that Tom gets, in this situation, a bigger rap than Jax does is because Tom likes to front like he has integrity, like he's so self-righteous, and he calls everybody out. You're a bully. You're this, you're that. When it turns out he's actually the biggest troll of them all. So that to me, I was just like, I'm really happy you did this interview, Tom, because for a second you had me slipping. You had me slipping thinking this was you going through some midlife crisis. Now, do I think you're going through a midlife crisis? Probably. It's very common. A lot of people go through them. Quarter life crisis, midlife crisis. It happens, right? But do I think that's the reason why you did this? No, I think the reason why you did this is just like we've seen for the last decade you've been on television. This is just who you are because you did the same thing to Raquel. The moment you had the chance to actually be with her, what did you do? Allegedly, you slept with that fangirl in Anaheim. Just like you slept with Miami Girl and Ariana, you slept with another girl on Raquel. And we're going to get into what he said about Raquel later on, which kind of, like we said over here at the Candy Canes, we always know our conspiracy theories always come true. Always come true. Always come true. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. So that was problem number one. Problem number two was another reason why it's not this midlife crisis. Another reason why he's pretty much a scumbag, in my personal opinion. This interview actually made me like him even less, if that was even possible. The Katie situation of it all. God bless her. Howie Mandel's daughter did the best she could. I mean, it wasn't a good job that she did with the interview, but she did the best she could. She did at least say, hey, well, weren't you jealous? You're now telling us that Raquel is like this love of your life, this savior who came to you as this really cool girl when you're going through this dark time of your life, right? And you admit that you hooked up with her prior to Shayna's wedding, meaning you hooked up with her prior to you encouraging your best friend, Tom Schwartz, to hook up with her. Like, that whole situation made no sense. He's like, oh, we kissed after boys' night, at the house, and it was just amazing. And I finally felt something, and blah, blah, blah. And we're just such good friends, and we're FaceTiming all the time and trying to see each other all the time. Okay, cool, cool, cool. But then you turn around and you are literally like forcing her to hook up with Tom Schwartz and forcing Tom Schwartz to hook up with her. That's nasty and sick in and of itself. So which is it? Is she this like amazing person that made you feel alive again, that you cannot live without now? But yet it's cool that you want her to bang your best friend, Tom Schwartz? That's nasty. And his answer didn't make any sense. Well, actually, it did make sense. It made sense in the sickest way. And let me tell you what I mean by that. He said, oh, I didn't care because it was an F you to Katie. That is disgusting. So the girl you are hooking up with, who is your alleged savior from your midlife crisis, that you're now in, whether it's sex or something sexual, you've already admitted that. You're now trying to get her to do something sexual with your best friend simply because you know it's going to hurt his soon-to-be ex-wife. That's disgusting. And that confirms everything we said about Tom Sandoval. And he said it himself. He literally said it himself to Howie. He said it was an F you to Katie. And he was like, oh, Katie made it such a big deal. Nothing had happened between Schwartz and Raquel, and she made it such a big deal, and she was going after them. Again, like he always does. Whatever girl is like all up his butt, all of a sudden the whole rest of the world is against her, and he has to be the savior. But he failed to say why Katie had such a problem with it. Katie was not being the bully to Raquel. Raquel was actually antagonizing Katie. If you're supposed to be just a friend, I'm not saying they're best friends, they're not best friends, but they are friends in the same friendship group. And you're going to sit across from me and look me dead in my face and tell me you asked to make out with my still legally married husband that I am now about to go, that I'm separated from. And you're going to look me dead in my face and tell me you asked him to make out with you? Like it was nothing? Like you were like, oh yeah, I'll have fries with my burger. By the way, Katie, I want to smash your husband. That is so antagonizing and so disrespectful. But yet you want to act like Katie's the bad guy? Please. Tom Sandoval has had a problem with Katie from day one because he has always been in love with Tom Schwartz, whether it's a romantic love, a platonic love, not my business, I don't care, but there's a love there. And he's always had a problem with Katie. So basically he said, I didn't have a problem pimping out Raquel to my friend, even though I'm currently smashing Raquel, because the jealousy I feel is trumped by the satisfaction that of knowing that what is going on is going to hurt someone else. That is diabolical. That is disgusting. That is why this has become such a big deal of what it is. Not just because that they cheated. Everybody on that show, except for a couple of people, have cheated. It's how diabolical and disgusting and intentionally hurtful both Tom Sandoval and Raquel have been. And by proxy, Tom Schwartz. I'm giving Tom Schwartz a little bit of grace on this one. That is why they're getting this type of smoke. It's not about the cheating. It's not about the cheating. To be perfectly honest, the cheating aspect is the least of their evils, to be perfectly honest. Okay? All right, where's my problem number 3 on this? Okay, problem number three. Okay. Tom Sandoval, you can't have it both ways. You talked out of both sides of your mouth on this one. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You can't have it both ways. Number one, first, did he not say on the podcast that him and Ariana, it was the optics of it? Like that both of them had sort of this like, there's so much to unpack in this. So like, give me grace and bear with me because there's so much to unpack. So if I go a little off, just ride with me, okay? Because there's so much to unpack. Okay. Problem number 3. He said it was for the optics, that they were building a brand, that it was for the show, it was for the image, it was for the businesses, blah, 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 blah. And that they had this unspoken, it went unsaid, because I will say for Howie, for as horrible as a host he was, he did kept saying, well, did you actually say this to Ariana, that you guys were just a fake relationship? Did you actually break up with Ariana? If Ariana was here, what would she say of the status of your relationship? Tom skirted the question and he said, oh, no, it went unsaid. We had this unspoken understanding. There is no such thing as an unspoken understanding. Because unless you actually communicate and verbalize and have an authentic conversation where the two of you say, our relationship is fake, we're friends, we're homies, we're roommates, but it's just for optics, it's just for the business, it's just for the brand, it's just for the show. That is you deciding that's how you feel. And now that you're getting all this blowback, you are now doing revisionist history and saying that's how she felt too. But you never actually had the conversation. You said it went unsaid, which means Ariana thought she was in a relationship and you were pretending because, like you said, you cared about your businesses, you cared about your image, you cared about the brand, and you were doing it for the show, right? So that's what he says, right? That they had this unspoken understanding. They both knew it was just optics, just to keep up appearances on the show because they didn't trust anybody and just to keep up appearances. Okay, but then later on in the episode, did he not say, when Howie asked him if he had broken up with Ariana, I think he's lying. He said he broke up with her on Valentine's Day. And that she didn't want to show it on the show. She didn't want to really go out there and show the problems on the show and all this, that. And he was saying, well, this is so unfair because, Sheena went through a divorce on the show. So did Tom and Katie, and everybody's going through things on the show. And it's not fair that she doesn't want to show everything on the show, and I was called up the producer and I was like, this isn't fair. Like, we have to show our lives on the show. Number one, that was performative, Tom Sandoval, because you don't want to be called a Robin Dixon, having an entire life outside of the show, but faking it on the show. But you're also talking out of both sides of your mouth. Which was it? Did you and Ariana have an unspoken understanding that you both were faking it for the cameras because you wanted, to keep your image intact for the brands and the businesses? Or were you up in arms because you wanted Ariana to show the real deterioration of your relationship, to show the realness of your relationship, and it wasn't fair that she wouldn't do that? Which one is it? Because you can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. I don't know why Howie or his ding-dong daughter, no offense to her, but it was little ding-daddy girl. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I say ding back out of love, okay? And his ding-dat daughter, I don't understand why none of them caught that. I would have been like, wait a minute, hold up. So you're saying that you broke up with her and then you were mad that she wouldn't want to show it on the show because it wasn't fair. But didn't you just say that the both of you said it was all optics? Which one is it, Tom? It was none of those things. It was this, in my humble opinion. I think that Ariana knew there were cracks in her relationships. She may have been in denial, but she's not stupid. That does not mean that she thought that she was in a fake relationship. There's a difference between being in an unhappy relationship and being in a fake one. I think Tom was in a fake relationship in his mind and is now trying to talk out the both sides of his mouth in order to get out of what he did. I think, like he said, he had already checked out. And then it made me wonder, did you check out of the relationship and stop having sex with Ariana? But then now you want to say, oh, Ariana never wanted to have sex. Because didn't she say she didn't want to have sex with a stranger? So did you stop having sex with her first because you were getting it elsewhere? And you weren't even home? Like you said, you were coming home at 2 o'clock in the morning, you were doing this, that, and the third. I bet you, this is what I think. I think Tom Sandoval stopped being sexually attracted to Ariana. I think he was checked out of the relationship. He stopped being sexually attracted to her. He did not, though, want to lose, in his mind, what he thought he would lose would be the image, the couple, the brand deals, the placement on the show, this, that, and the third. And so he probably stopped having sex with her and then is now gaslighting and being like she wasn't a sexual person. Because it doesn't seem like you were trying to get it in with her. Seems like you were out dipping it and doing it. So that was another big problem, okay? Now, where is my problem number 4? Okay, problem number 4, and I might have a couple more problems up in here. We'll see. And put what you guys spotted down below. Put it down below too. Problem number 4. How come no one, and I mean no one, they didn't ask it at the reunion. Andy Cohen wasn't asking it on Watch What Happens Live. They didn't ask about it on this dingbat interview that he did. But this would be my first question. Tom Sandoval, if you ever want to talk to me, let's talk. My first question would be, is it true that you filmed Raquel in a sexual act without her consent? Why is nobody asking Tom this question? Or asking the question at all? Let's not forget how this whole thing started and how this whole thing really popped off. It was when Ariana found the sex tape, sex video, sex text, whatever you want to call it, sex FaceTime, I don't know, on his phone of Raquel allegedly pleasuring herself in a sexual act, for her pleasure and his pleasure. And then all of a sudden, didn't her and her family come out saying, with the whole email cease and assist, they should have sent it to Daryl, the whole email cease and assist saying that Tom Sandoval took the video without her consent. That's a huge question I want answers to. I personally think that's a lie. But if I'm wrong, I don't want to keep saying I think that she's lying about this. But I think that's a lie. I think she either made the video herself and sent it to him, or they were doing it together and she knew full well he was taping it. I think Tom Sandoval is a lot of things, but I do not think he is a predator in that sense. And if I'm wrong, I want to be checked. Because as much as I do not like Raquel by any stretch, as much as I do not like Rachel or whoever the hell she is, regardless of that, if any person is filmed without their consent, either naked or nude or in a sexual act, that is wrong. Whether I like you or not, it's wrong. How come nobody's asking that question? And also, why is he not defending himself against that? Well, actually, I'll tell you why I think he's not defending himself against that. I think he's not defending himself against that because I think he has realized, because like he said, he's sober now. He's been sober for 4 days. I think that's a really good thing. Also, did you catch how he said him and Raquel are not together? They're taking space, no label, and they're not having sex. This is why I think he's not saying anything against Raquel. I think he realized, yeah, I'm a narcissist. Yeah, I'm a scumbag. However, Raquel is like ticky, ticky, boom. She's on a different wackadoodle level, sociopathic, non-empathy having weirdo vibes than Cuckoo Kristen or, non-sexual Ariana or Tequila Katie or Dark Passenger Stassi or whatever it is, right? There's a different tick boom about Raquel. Like there's really something off with her. And I think now that the whole, hurting Katie high is over, cheating on Ariana high is over, lying and deceiving his friends is over, getting it, sticking it to James is over, and now that Raquel's real Ticky Boom is coming out, saying he filmed her without her consent, lying and say Sheena Shea punched her and going as far as to doing this bogus temporary restraining order, just looking all types of weirdo and crazy and liar. I think he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I think he's seeing things a lot more clearly. I think he's dead wrong. I'm not giving him a pass on anything. But I think Raquel, there's a different type of tick boom. There's a different type of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs going on with her that I think he's now seeing more clearly. That's why they're not putting a label on it. That's why they're not having sex. That's why they're not together. That's why they're taking a break. He's in therapy. He's sober. But that's also why he's not going to go against her. Because everything he's doing, even though it's like a lot of missteps, in his mind, he's trying to do reputation rehab. That's why he went on Howie Mandel in the first place. He knew it was a safe space for him. They were fangirling over him. Howie Mandel didn't know what the show was. His daughter was pretty much like acting like a 12-year-old, and she wasn't able to actually like push back to her father or say what she really wanted to say. It was really weird. I was like, you're a grown woman, right? I'm super confused. And he knew it was a safe space. He went on a show, on a platform where he knew he would be supported and not challenged. I also think the reason why he went on that platform wasn't also, I also don't think he was necessarily talking to Bravo people. I think he was trying to clear his name to the rest of the world. He's like, oh, it's on CNN and I have, my men's cosmetic line and I have the restaurant. I think he was trying to clear his name to the audience. That is Howie Mandel. They don't watch Vanderpump Rules, but they're seeing all these headlines on CNN, the New York Post, and it's everywhere. And it's like, Tom is bad, Tom is bad, Tom is bad. I think he was trying to gaslight people who don't actually watch the show to get to, up his reputation so that he can then go off and do his band and do his, male makeup or the men's cosmetic line that he's doing and the business and everything else. And I'm sure he's going to try and be an actor and do everything else and, do whatever he can to keep up with Ariana, right? I think that's who he was talking to. I think that's who he thought he could gaslight. So he's doing all of this to, it's reputation rehab, whether it's working or not. I personally don't think it's working. I think that this was a really big misstep. And we're going to get into that more later in the episode too, because I have a couple of stories about, Andy Cohen coming out and not being happy. Tom's job is on the line. They're saying he could be fired for this because the interview was not Bravo approved. We'll get into that. I have a couple of those stories coming up on this live. So that was super, super problematic. Problem number five. Actually, before I get to problem number 5, because this is kind of in vain of that, another reason why I think that I think Tom thought before all of this broke, because they were talking about, well, what was your plan? And he's like, oh, I was going to break up with her in therapy. Oh, I broke up with her in like all that BS, blah, blah, blah crap, whatever. Like, this is the thing. Do I think breaking up with somebody in therapy is a good idea? I actually do, depending on the dynamic. If the person needs that support, if you need the mediator there that's objective, that's fine. That's great. Do I think that was his actual plan? Maybe, but this is what I thought. But this is what I think he thought he was going to be able to do before everything blew up and got out of his hands. I think that he was going to try and find a way to make him the victim in his breakup with Ariana. I think that he was going to malign her the way he's done every other woman in his path and make himself out just the way he was saying to Howie. I was really deep in dark depression. I was in a dark place. And let me just side note this. I know my candy canes know, but in case there's new people listening, I am by no means being dismissive or belittling any mental illness, whether you are depressed or an anxiety or some type of midlife crisis or, anything like that. By no means. I have nothing but respect and love and grace and understanding for anybody going through something like that. So when I speak of it in this way regarding Tom Sandoval, and I'm not disregarding him, because do I think he was depressed? Sure. Do I think he had midlife crisis? Sure. Anxiety? Sure. I'm not dismissing any of that. But when I talk about that, I just want to be very, very clear that I'm coming from a place of nothing but love and respect for anyone going through it or has gone through it or will go through it. Okay. Well, I may keep going with the mess. All right. I think he thought that he could malign Ariana because, again, I think he underestimated how much, the world or us or the universe, the Bravoverse rather, would be on her side. I think he thought that people didn't like her like that. Not that we disliked her, but I don't think he thought that we would be behind her the way he is, the way we are. Like, I don't think he thought she would be in Lifetime movies. She would be getting, new brand deals, that she would be, Dancing with the Stars and all of that stuff. I don't think he thought she was going to have this glow up. I think he thought he would be like, she doesn't want to have sex and we haven't been happy. And like, I've been staying in it for her. And like, I finally was able to get out of it. And that he was somehow would play the victim in all of it. That's the narrative I think that he was going to try to go with. But then everything popped off before he could lie and do that whole stuff, right? Absolutely ridiculous. And like I've said from jump, being unhappy in a relationship, any relationship, is not an excuse to cheat. It is also not an excuse to blame your partner. Being unhappy in a relationship just means you now have the responsibility, the accountability to remove yourself from the relationship. That's all being unhappy in a relationship means. You either say, I'm going to stick with it and then I'm going to work on it. We're going to go to couples therapy to actually work on a relationship, not so I can just check a box and then break up with you, and actually fix the relationship, work through our problems, learn to love each other again until we get to a happy and healthy place. So either being in an unhealthy relationship is just an indication of, okay, you got some stuff you got to do to get to a happy place. You don't always have to break up in an unhappy relationship. You could work on it and get to a happier place. Or if you're done, then leave. Then leave. You don't do what you did. And this brings me to problem number 5. Problem number 5 with this interview, again, his ding-dong daughter, I don't know what her name is. And I'm going hard on her because she wanted to act like she was, the Vanderpump Rules person, the Bravo person. Why did you not bring up all of the sickening things that they did? Because again, it's not even about the cheating at this point. It's really not. Why did she not say, oh, okay, well, you're going through this midlife crisis and you're in a dark place and you want sex. Well, why did you have matching necklaces with Raquel, flaunting that in everybody's face? Do you know what I mean? Oh, To Be Black Native, what is up? Thank you so much for the super sticker. She goes, greetings, I've been missing your lives. Oh, it's all good, but we are here today. Thank you so much, To Be. I appreciate that. Okay, let's keep going with the mess. So why did she not bring that up? Why did she not bring up the fact that Tom and Raquel had sex in Ariana's home? Yeah, it's Tom and Ariana's home, but it's Ariana's home. Why didn't you bring that up when Ariana was in the house and when she wasn't in the house? If everything that's come out that has been trickling out is to be believed, and I think it is to be believed. He didn't really say none of that was true because they never even asked him about this stuff. Why didn't she bring up the fact that he dressed up as Raquel for Halloween? That is the ultimate disrespect. You're literally going to dress up as the girl you are cheating with and then dance and prance around in my face when I'm supporting this girl. I'm being this girl's friend. I'm holding this girl down. I'm being there for her because Ariana really was there for Raquel. That's another key point that they missed that was very problematic. Why did they not hone in on the fact the closeness that Raquel and Ariana had? Howie Mandel, do your research. He was like, oh, so she seems like a nice person. Yeah, she was a nice psychotic person who was smiling in Ariana's face while the whole time she was having sex with her man behind her back and in her bed. Why didn't they talk about that? Why didn't they talk about the fact that, they used Tom Schwartz basically as a pawn to hurt Katie, which is disgusting, and to cover up the fact that they were the ones who were having the affair because Tom Sandoval admitted it. Him and Raquel had already been in some type of sexual situation, whether it was sex, whether it was a kiss, whether it was makeup, whatever the hell it was sexual, prior to Schwartz and Raquel hooking up at Sheena's wedding. Why didn't they talk about that? Why didn't they talk about the fact that Raquel wore a Tom Tom, quote, boyfriend sweatshirt at BravoCon in October? A, to hurt Katie, because Katie thought it was about Schwartz, which is disgusting. And B, to low-key, in their psychotic way, sort of have this weird secret that they're getting over on people, because the reason why she was wearing the sweatshirt wasn't for Schwartz. It was for Sandoval. Why didn't you talk about that? These are sick things. These are very sick things, if you really think about it. Can you imagine if that was you? If your husband or your wife or your long-term boyfriend or your long-time girlfriend was doing these sick and twisted things to you with someone you considered a very, very close friend? That is the sickness of all of it. It's not the cheating. Basically, all of them done cheated. But none of them did it like this. Not even Jax did it like this, okay? And then why not also bring up the fact that Raquel brought the sweatshirt to Watch What Happens Live and gave it as a gift to Andy Cohen? That's disgusting. Literally the day everything popped off and then was like, Sandoval's the hottest. And Sheena was like, what did you say? Excuse me, miss? Why didn't they bring up the fact that Raquel lied about being punched by Sheena? Was he in on that? What is his thoughts on that? Does he support the fact that Raquel lied and said she was punched by Sheena and then submitted a fake temporary restraining? It was real, but you know what I mean? A fraudulent temporary restraining order. When Sheena has opened up her home to this woman, has helped this woman when nobody else was there for her, had her back the entire season and more, ruined her friendship with Katie for this girl. And Sheena is a mother. Any type of legalities, I don't have any children, but I do understand that there's a difference when certain things are thrown at people without children versus certain things that are thrown at people with children. I don't have children, but I respect the difference. It is different when you are a mother or a father going through certain things. And to put that legal suit against Sheena? Disgusting. Why didn't they ask him about that? Where did he stand with that? Did he co-sign that? See, this is the thing. I actually don't think Tom Sandoval co-signed all that stuff. I think to her face he does, but I think that's a big reason why he is slowly stepping back from the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs crazy. Do I think he likes Sheena? I think he's probably like, Sheena's cool, like whatever, it's kind of Sheena. I don't think he agreed with all of that stuff. But I also think he's kind of scared of Raquel. I think Raquel knows more. I think that there's even more stuff that they did. And I think the last thing he wants is to get Raquel on his bad side. That's why I think he's not saying anything about this alleged sex tape. I don't think that's why. I think that's why he hasn't spoken out against her. I think that's why he's like, listen, like my therapist said that, like, and like my manager said and my agent said that we should probably just like we shouldn't put a label on this. We should probably cool off a bit, and just like really work on ourselves. Like that's what your PR team should say that, and so should mine. And we should just kind of blah 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 blah. Because I thought, wasn't Schwartz just saying that Raquel is his heroine and they're addicted to each other and they're in love and all this, and she's amazing and he's lusting with her. But how he told it on Howie, he was like, we're not putting a label on it. We're taking some space. We're not hooking up. Like all that. I think once the thrill and the high of all of the psycho stuff they were doing together faded, once he got sober, once he started to being negatively affected by everything, I think now he's seeing things a lot more clearly. I still think he was dead wrong for what he did. I still think he did it out of his own ego and narcissism, not because of a midlife crisis. He may be going, I think the band and all of that was midlife crisis, trying to be Freddie Mercury or whatever the guy's name is, trying to be Mick Jagger. I think all of that is midlife crisis, but he's always been a cheater. Always. He's always been a cheater. And just like Ariana said this season, she goes, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do Tom against the girls. He's always been Tom against the girls since day one. He's always had a problem with Stassi. He always had a problem with Katie. He always put down his girlfriend the moment he's no longer interested in her. He doesn't break up with her. He just puts her down and gaslights her, and then he gets everybody else around him to dislike her too. That's his MO. He's always been like this. So, lots of problems. Lots of problems with this situation. Lots of problems. What else is going on? Oh, this is another thing he said. Because again, he kept talking out of both sides of his mouth. Did you guys also catch where he admitted that Ariana thought that they were going to be spending the rest of their lives together, whether they were married or not? And that while they were in therapy, she started to fight for it. And then he was like, anybody who gets that version, he was so smug. Anybody who gets that version of Ariana is going to be really lucky. That version. So which is it? Did you guys have this fake unsaid understanding that you guys really weren't in a relationship anymore? And that you guys were just doing it for the cameras and for the brand deals? Or is it the truth, what you said later on when you tried to slip up, that she thought you guys were going to spend the rest of your lives together, and that she thought she was in therapy to work on the relationship and to get it back on track? And that's when she started putting in the effort because she was trying to save it. Not because she thought that you were in a fake relationship for the cameras. Not because you allegedly tried to break up with her all of these times. Shut up, Tom Schwartz. Not because you allegedly broke up with her on Valentine's Day. Which one is it, Tom? Because it cannot be both ways. Cannot be both ways. All right, let me look at my notes real quick because I am on one right now. Let me see what else. Oh, did you guys also catch this? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, this is another thing. He said that he broke up with her or was trying to or something like that. But he was like, you don't have to post anything on social media. Like, you don't have to tell anybody anything. Like, we can just work through this, with ourselves. And he said that because they were on hold for a very big brand deal, like some type of mixology deal, because don't forget, they have their book together, their cocktail book, and then I think an app or something, like some type of booze app, or I don't know, something like that. I don't know if it still exists. I don't know if it's still running. I don't know what the deal is, but they had something like that. But he said that they were on hold for a big mixology opportunity. And that's why he was like, don't say anything. But then he tried to blame her and shame her and be like, oh yeah, well then, like when we were at the what the show, the Sandoval show where everything went down, where he lost the phone, he was like, yeah, like we're never PDA unless like the cameras are there or for photos. So like she kissed me for the photos because like she knew I wouldn't push her away at the show. So, but like she knew we weren't together. And he was trying to act like she was in denial. She was forcing it. She knew it was over, but yet she was like forcing him to kiss her in front of the cameras and the photos. Again, you cannot have it both ways, Tom. Was it A, you broke up with her, but you said, don't say anything publicly because we need to get this mixology deal and you're going to mess up the money? Or was it B, you broke up with her and you can't believe how crazy she was, how delusional she was, how in denial she was, that she was still trying to kiss you for photos and in front of the paparazzi and in front of, the media? Well, isn't that what you told her to do? So why are you now trying to say she's in denial and she's delusional and the relationship was over, yet she was still trying to kiss you in front of the photo ops? Isn't that exactly what you just said you told her to do? Don't post on social media that we broke up. Don't say anything publicly until we get this deal. So which is it? Was she falling in line with what you said to her because you wanted to get the mixology deal? So yeah, you guys were broken up and she said, you know what, cool, let's get the mixology deal. So when the cameras are on, when you're at your show, of course I'm going to come up to you and hug you and kiss you because we're fronting about being in a relationship until we get this deal. Or was it you were trying to do the right thing and she just wouldn't leave? She was in denial and she was forcing you to kiss her in front of the cameras. Which is it? I think it was this. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think that Tom Sandoval knew that they were on hold for a big mixology brand deal. That's what he said on the show. I think that's true. I think, again, he had already been checked out of the relationship. I think Ariana knew they had problems. And I think that were they fronting for the cameras? Yes. But I think Tom was fronting for the cameras from the sense of, I need to get this deal. I'm in this fake relationship. I'm going to smile for the cameras, blah, 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 blah. Whereas I think Ariana, it was just business as usual. Sure, there's stuff going on between us behind the scenes, but we're in this together. We're going to couples therapy. I'm supporting him at his show. There are the cameras. Of course, I'm going to hug him and kiss him, blah, 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 blah. I don't think Ariana was fronting for the cameras in the sense of she was actively lying and deceiving. I think it's like anything. Say a couple goes to a wedding and the couple themselves are, maybe they're fighting, maybe they're not happy. But when the wedding photographer says, hey, smile for the camera, you're going to get with your person, you're going to smile for the camera. Doesn't mean that you're lying or faking it or fronting. It just means you're going through something in your own relationship, but you realize, hey, these pictures are going to be around forever. Let me not mess up this event. Let me just smile for the camera. That's what I think Ariana was doing. I think Tom Sandoval was like, I got to get my exit strategy together, but I want to get this money. I got to use the equity in this house to get the restaurant. There's this mixology brand deal that is riding on me and Ariana being together. Like he said from jump, it was optics for him. It was business. It was image. And it was a brand. And it was for the show. But also, like he said, he failed to let Ariana in on that little secret. It went unsaid. If it went unsaid, that means she wasn't in on it, boo-boo. That's not an agreement between two people to fake the funk. That's you faking the funk for your own gain and letting her feel like something is wrong with her. She's not pretty enough. She's not sexy enough. She's not cool enough. She's not good enough. Why isn't he having sex with me? Why isn't he staying at home? Why is he coming in at 2:00 in the morning? Why is he never here? Why are we not traveling together? Because he even said she was trying to plan trips for them and he said he didn't even want to go. And even on the show, she said on the show herself, I'm so excited that the restaurant's finally going to open because then, maybe we can start, having sexy time again and we can spend more time together. Ariana was excited. She was like, oh, maybe now we'll have more time. Maybe now we can get back on track. He even said it himself. When they started going to couples therapy, she started fighting for it. That is not indicative of someone who thinks they are in a fake relationship. That is indicative of someone who is in an unhappy relationship, who is fighting for it, who is trying to make it better. And also, like he said, Ariana thought that they were going to spend the rest of their lives together. So, Tom, you lied through your teeth during this entire interview. Why would she think you're going to spend the rest of your life together if you guys had broken up in February? Why would she think you were going to spend the rest of your lives together if there was an unsaid agreement that the two of you were just glorified roommates and it was just for the show and the brands? Why would she think that? You wouldn't. You would think, well, until the show get canceled, we're going to fake this relationship till the wheels fall off. Not, oh, we're going to be in this fake relationship for the rest of our lives, even when the show's done. No, none of it makes sense. You got up here on Howie Mandel and you lied through your teeth. You contradicted yourself about 10 or 20, 30, 55 times. I just came up with what just came to mind. These are just my cliff notes, buddy. So it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're trying to gaslight her. You're trying to gaslight us. Howie Mandel, you should be ashamed of yourself. But I mean, I'm sure he's getting clicks and views because, to be perfectly honest, I don't know the last time I ever thought of Howie Mandel. Like, if we're going to be honest, I bet you his podcast, that was probably the best episode he had all year in terms of clicks and views and downloads. You know what I mean? But it was a garbage interview. Howie was not prepared. He didn't know what he was talking about. He kept speaking over, cutting off, and putting down his daughter. I think she did the best she could, but she was also ill-prepared. Like, I just went through about 20 questions that I need answers to. And I don't know why nobody's asking them. Not even you, Andy Cohen. I know this is the thing. I actually think Andy Cohen is trying. I think he's stepping up. I think he's listening more. I think he's trying. So I'm not even mad at Andy Cohen. But we needed these questions too. I don't even think we're getting those type of answers at the reunion. At this point, we don't need the reunion. What are we going to see on the reunion that we don't already know? I'll wait. That's why Sandoval might be out of a job because he was talking too much. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so that's how I feel about this. Now let's move on to Andy Cohen weighing in, okay? Let's move on to Andy Cohen weighing in. Now, this is what Andy Cohen had to say about the situation because he is not happy.